This is the first of many. Enjoy every single one of these moments because they don't come often, okay? And tomorrow we're gonna frickin' post and keep this thing frickin' rolling. Let's go! This group of guys, we talked about it all year. They care about each other. They come together. This is a hard game. Every night you go out, you put your body on the line and your mind and everything, and they stick to each other and they celebrate every win. And Hedgie's the vocal leader of this team. I mean, he's the spirit. And he brings it every single day.
In this video, I'm going to break down how the Cleveland Guardians can win the World Series. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything, and I'm going to be realistic. I'm going to talk about all the scenarios of who they could face and so much more. But before I begin, I would really appreciate it if you would drop a like and subscribe. It only takes 5 seconds, plus you can always change your mind. Alright. So for the Guardians to realistically be able to win the World Series, they have to flip the switch and go back to the playing style they had in the first 2 months of the season. I'm not saying they're going to be as hot as they were, which is completely fine, but they need Kwan to set the tone from the first at-bat of the game. He needs to be a fighter, he needs to foul off a ton of pitches, and he needs to be a slap hitter, not a power hitter. And then in the 2-hole, we don't know if it's going to be Lane Thomas or Gimenez. I personally would like to see Gimenez there, but whoever it is, I want to see a small ball approach with some hit and runs, some bunting, and just keeping things simple before getting to the power hitters in Jose Ramirez and Josh Naylor. In the scenario that the Guards start off against the Tigers, which at the time of this recording definitely seems possible, they need to score runs early on, which isn't something that this team does really often, especially as of late. Because with a young team like Detroit that is on this magical run, if you put a few runs up on the board, that will really deflate them. And then we all know the key for Cleveland this postseason is to get to the bullpen. If you can get to about the 6th or 7th inning with a lead, Cade Smith, Gaddis, and Clase will shut it down. The thing about Detroit that has been the method to their madness is their unpredictability. They like to pinch hit a lot, they won't let you know who is going to pitch until right before the game, and then the bats are hot and they string together hits. But one thing that I think will benefit the Guardians in this matchup is that they aren't a home run hitting team, and that is the Guardians' weakness. We all know Cleveland can win a game of small ball, but honestly, I wouldn't even call them a small ball team anymore, thankfully. They are capable of hitting home runs, so much improved from last year. Anyways, in a series against a hot team like Detroit, having a veteran presence like Jose Ramirez is huge. Because if the Tigers do string together some hits and put some runs on the board, it's important to see that your leader is composed. Jose doesn't let anything faze him, and let's face it, if the Guardians want to make a deep postseason push, Jose is gonna have an October to remember. And I don't think it's even a question of if he will show up, because he's already proven to be clutch. But the Guards need that 2-out, 2-run blast that he provided 2 years ago in Game 1 against the Rays. Another key to this postseason will of course be starting pitching. And it's hard to get a read on the rotation and what they can be because realistically, Tanner Bibee, Cobb if he's healthy, Ben Lively, Gavin Williams, Matthew Boyd, there are a ton of options, but who they go with is the question. Obviously, it will be Bibee and Lively in games 1 and 2, they have earned those spots, but I honestly want to see Boyd in a game 3 because of his experience and how good he has been to end the season. Gavin Williams does scare me a bit, he has it in him to be dominant, but I could totally see a complete choke. That's why I feel like winning games 1 and 2 is going to be super crucial. It would take the pressure off a guy like Williams if he could just go out there and do his thing. Anyways, going back to the possible scenarios, if it is the Astros in round 1, which I hope it is not, Cleveland's starting pitching is going to have to come to play. I think the Astros have a dangerous lineup, especially with Yordan Alvarez back. I know Cleveland was not necessarily trying, but I did not like what I saw from them against the Stros in that final series. But yeah, let's just hope it's Detroit, and if it is the Astros, then they will have their hands full. Moving on to the ALCS, it would most likely be the Yankees. And man, as a Cleveland fan, I hate playing the Yanks in the playoffs. But it's pretty simple how the Yankees win. When they are in their stadium, all the guys just take big hacks every swing until they eventually get a hold of one. So the key will be controlled pitching, and also the Guardians showing some of their own power. There is not a single guy in the Guardians lineup 1 through 10 that can't put one out. And this is the series where a big home run from a guy like Naylor or Big Christmas would change everything. Cleveland has a lot of experience against the Yanks. It will be an interesting series, and if they win that series, then it of course would be World Series time. But I don't even want to look ahead to that. I am more worried about the first 2 series, and the players that nobody is talking about that I think will be a key part of any success the Guards may have is the middle of the lineup with Brennan. Chill Will has been solid all year. He's not a player that gets jersey sales, he doesn't get talked about at all by the media, but he's one of those 250 hitters that every good team has that can get a huge hit in a huge situation. And then there's also Rocchio, who I have no faith in a playoff stage. And Bo Naylor needs to be Bo Naylor. You cannot expect much from him at the plate, but he needs to just do his job. Get bunts down, move runners, use his speed to his advantage. All the things that Bo can do, he needs to do. And man, a home run from him would be so nice. 1 through 5, I feel like the Guardians have just about as good of a lineup as anyone. It's going to be about the bottom 4 and what they can do. That is going to be the difference. And then this will be Stephen Vogt's first time on the big stage as a manager. But honestly, from a player's perspective, he's recently retired, so he's going to be able to relate to what the players are feeling. I think that's going to end up being a big benefit. And speaking of benefits, one benefit the Guardians have is that in the opening series, the only games that are back-to-back will be games 3 and 4. So that really gives them an opportunity to do a lot with their bullpen in the first 2 games. And game 1 specifically, they gotta win game 1. If it is the Tigers, you do not want to start out with a loss and go into game 2 against the best pitcher in the league 0-1. And with the Guardians pitching situation, I would like to see them pitch an opener. Like maybe one of the games, you put Tim Herron in for the first inning to face the 1 through 4 hitters, and then you put a guy like Matthew Boyd out there, just so the starter can pitch 5 innings and only has to go through the meat of the order 1 time. Baseball in the playoffs really is just a complete crapshoot. And that is why I'm nervous, but confident in this team. It wouldn't surprise me if they got swept in the first round, but it also wouldn't surprise me if they won the World Series. Let me know what you guys think is going to happen in the comments below. Anyways, whatever happens in the playoffs this year is what it is. Of course, I would love to see a World Series, and opportunities like this don't always come around, but just kind of looking at next year, the roster is going to be ridiculous. You got the #1 pick coming in, the middle of the infield is going to be elite, Shane Bieber will probably be back on an affordable deal, this team is going to be so good with no weaknesses, and the bullpen will also get Trevor Stephan back. But yeah, it's going to be a wild ride. We'll see if the Guards can heat up this October, and it all starts with setting the tone in game 1. That's really all I got for this video. Thank you all so much if you made it to this point, and if you enjoyed and haven't yet, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe, because your support truly does mean the world. And also, let me know what you would like to see next, and until then, I will see you all later.
It's just been fun to watch them all step up in different situations, and on a night where, like you said, our leverage guys, we're in a down game. Our down game script, that was it tonight, and maybe a little longer than we wanted it to be. But these guys have stepped up, all of them, night after night, all year long.